For almost a year, the most famous couple on the planet planned the one thing they refused to let the world see. No location leaked in advance, no photographs. Guests reportedly signed non-disclosure agreements, surrendered their phones, and were driven the last stretch behind a tent so no camera could see who got out. And still, the story found its way out. Who officiated it? Which face nobody expected walked through those doors? What happened inside Madison Square Garden that left 1,000 of the most famous people alive completely speechless? Today, we're going inside Taylor Swift's private wedding, the one she tried to keep sealed shut, and every detail that finally made it into the light. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. The city that shut itself down. Before there was a wedding, there was a lockdown. The day before the ceremony, barricades went up around the entire block. Streets around Madison Square Garden were closed under a special event permit granted by the city itself. New York's own mayor referenced Taylor Swift's wedding at a press conference before a single guest arrived. Reporters counted a heavy NYPD presence deployed around Penn Station and the arena in the hours before the doors opened. Think about the scale of that for a second. This is one of the busiest transit hubs on Earth in the middle of Manhattan on a holiday weekend, and it was reorganized around one couple saying 2 words to each other. But here's the part that tells you who was really running this. The security wasn't there to keep people out of a party. It was there to keep a secret. A 180-foot tent was built so guests could be delivered straight into the building unseen. Phones were banned inside. NDAs were signed at the door. Taylor Swift didn't just book a venue, she built a vault in the middle of New York City and then dared the entire internet to look inside. Chapter 2. The wedding party nobody saw coming. For months, the guessing game had one favorite answer. Everyone was convinced Taylor's bridesmaids would be the inner circle. Selena Gomez, Gigi Hadid, the whole famous roster she's built over 2 decades. Everyone was wrong. There were no bridesmaids, there were no groomsmen, none at all. Instead, Taylor's brother Austin Swift stood beside her as her man of honor. And on Travis's side, the choice surprised no one who's been paying attention. His older brother Jason Kelce, co-host of their podcast and the person Travis calls first about everything, served as best man. The 2 brothers at the altar standing in for an entire wedding party. It's not just a scaled down ceremony. It's a statement about what the day was for. She could have filled that altar with the most photographed women in the world and turned it into a red carpet. She chose her brother instead. Family over spectacle from the 2 people whose entire lives are spectacle. Chapter 3. The efficient nobody predicted. Then came the reveal that broke the internet for a different reason. Among every person Taylor Swift could have chosen to marry her, a spiritual figure, a lifelong mentor, a fellow music legend, the ceremony was officiated by a friend. Her publicist, Tree Payne, confirmed it to the Associated Press. Adam Sandler. Yes, that Adam Sandler, the Happy Gilmore star. It sounds like a punchline until you remember Travis Kelce actually appeared in Happy Gilmore 2 a year earlier, and the 2 families have been close for years. By the accounts that trickled out afterward, Sandler didn't just read the vows. Kansas City Chiefs coach Andy Reid said Sandler did a phenomenal job and reportedly gave the couple the simplest advice at the altar: kiss each other every chance you get. The most secretive, meticulously controlled wedding of the decade, and the man standing between the bride and groom was the guy from Billy Madison. Nothing Taylor does is an accident, but nobody had this one on their card. Chapter 4. How you hide 1,000 famous people. Here's a problem money alone can't solve. How do you move roughly 1,000 of the most recognizable people on the planet into one building in the middle of Manhattan without a single clear photograph of them arriving? You build a system. Starting in the afternoon, black cars with fully tinted windows began arriving at the garden, one after another. They'd pull into that tent, the flaps would close, the guests would step out inside, invisible, and the empty cars would roll back out. From the street, all anyone could see was a river of identical vehicles going in full and coming out empty. Guests staying at the Ritz-Carlton Nomad were reportedly invited to ride dedicated cars sent straight to the venue, so even the trip over was controlled. And when the one arrival everyone actually wanted finally came, it came in disguise. The same tinted, bulletproof suburban Taylor had used all week, slipping into a separate underground entrance completely apart from every other guest. She was photographed leaving her New York apartment that morning, and then the car simply vanished into the building. The whole city knew the day had started, and still nobody could see her. It was, in every sense, her operation, and it almost worked perfectly. Almost, because Swifties and reporters do not give up, and they caught more than she ever intended. Chapter 5. The dress nobody guessed right. Of everything kept behind those closed doors, the dress was the crown jewel, and reportedly, not one guest predicted it correctly. The confirmed answer, both the bride and the groom wore Christian Dior haute couture, custom built from scratch for the night. One of the most prestigious fashion houses in the world, dressing both halves of the couple in matching intent. The shoes were Christian Louboutin, the red soles anyone would recognize. The jewelry was Cartier, every element from one of the great French luxury houses, chosen down to the last stitch and the last stone. This is the detail that says everything about how she thinks. She could have leaked the designer months in advance and let the anticipation build. Instead, she let the whole world guess, get it wrong, and find out only when it was already done. The reveal wasn't the dress. The reveal was that she'd kept it from you. Chapter 6. Inside the garden. Madison Square Garden is enormous. A little decoration was never going to be enough. For days beforehand, crews were inside building what onlookers described as one of the biggest event setups of the year. A grand piano was spotted being carried in, the kind she brings to a concert, now going to her wedding. So were what looked like the makings of a whole world. Gazebo frames, curtains, artificial trees, and most tellingly, a castle-style fence that fans immediately connected to the love story music video. With Taylor, nothing is ever a coincidence. The palette that came together inside was white and green, clean, romantic, and full of living flowers, which is exactly the wedding she'd always described wanting. Guests who saw it reached for the same word, intimate. As one attendee put it, it was somehow a garden inside the garden. And then there were the flourishes only this couple would think of. A customized muscle car was seen leaving afterward wearing a Justin TMRD license plate, the same play on their initials that would light up the whole building that night. Because when the food is by the caterers behind some of New York's most exclusive rooms, and the late night menu reportedly runs from a Krispy Kreme delivery to around 100 pizzas from a beloved city pizzeria, you realize the theme wasn't luxury for its own sake. It was a billionaire wedding built to feel like the best house party of your life. Chapter 7. The wedding that turned into a concert. If you'd told a guest the ceremony was the main event, you'd have been wrong, because after the vows, the bride's mother, Andrea Swift, invited everyone into a reception room where a stage was waiting. And what happened next is the part money genuinely cannot buy. Paul McCartney took the stage and performed I Want to Hold Your Hand, a Beatles song he reportedly hadn't sung live in more than 60 years, brought back out of retirement for one night for them. Stevie Nicks performed too, and by several accounts, Taylor herself joined her longtime friend on stage. One of the only times a bride has ever upstaged her own wedding on purpose. And the lineup didn't stop there. Reports named Tim McGraw, whose name Taylor put on her very first single, alongside Avril Lavigne, Sierra, Fergie, Ice Spice, and Tate McRae, with Adam Sandler reportedly picking up a guitar himself. It's not just a reception, it's a festival bill most promoters couldn't assemble for a stadium, playing a private room for free for 2 people. That's not what money buys, that's what a lifetime of relationships buys. Chapter 8. The Guest List. A wedding this sealed off should have kept its guest list a secret too. It didn't, because 1,000 famous people cannot all arrive at one building without being seen leaving it. From Hollywood, the names photographed or reported arriving read like an awards show. Gigi Hadid and Bradley Cooper, Selena Gomez, Ethan Hawke, Hugh Grant and his wife, Jessica Alba, Dakota Johnson, Julianne Moore, Jessica Chastain, Steven Spielberg, Mariska Hargitay. From comedy, Adam Sandler wasn't the only one in the room. Jimmy Fallon, Chris Rock, Jason Sudeikis, and Charlie Day were all reportedly there. From music, her people showed up in force. Ed Sheeran, Camila Cabello, Jack Antonoff, the Haim sisters, Ellie Goulding, Machine Gun Kelly, Karlie Kloss, and more. And then there was the other family, the football one. Travis's world turned out. His head coach Andy Reid, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, broadcaster Joe Buck, teammate turned star Cooper Kupp, and even 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady, crossing every rivalry line the league has to be in that room. 2-time Olympic gold medalist Abby Wambach and best-selling author Glennon Doyle were there. So were the morning television hosts, who'd later gently confirmed the details the couple worked so hard to hide. Look closely at that list and you notice something. Taylor Swift doesn't only collect celebrities, she collects people who built something. Athletes, authors, legends, the friends who were there before any of it. That's the real guest list. Fame was just the coincidence most of them had in common. Chapter 9. The moment it became official. everything led to one moment. Inside, the couple reportedly read their vows to each other from a golden book. Vows so long and so personal that guests said each one ran around 20 minutes, funny and emotional in equal measure. And a little after 7 in the evening, they were pronounced husband and wife. Then the city found out the way only a Taylor Swift wedding could announce itself. Giant billboards around Madison Square Garden lit up with 2 words that had been hiding in plain sight all night: Just and T married. Just and T, Taylor and Travis, all at once. A few blocks away, the Empire State Building glowed blue in their honor. A wink at the old wedding rhyme, something blue written across the New York skyline. And then, as if the night were scripted, the weather turned. Sudden winds moved through Manhattan, followed by a hard rainstorm. And then, by several accounts, a rainbow. New York was celebrating whether it had planned to or not. One more detail, and it reframes the whole night. Days before the wedding, the couple quietly donated $26 million to more than 20 charities across the country. Before the dress, before the guest list, before the concert, they gave away a fortune. The most private wedding in the world opened with the least private gesture there is. Generosity on the record, with no camera required. From a city block barricaded shut to 1,000 cars going in full and coming out empty. From Adam Sandler at the altar to Paul McCartney on the stage. From a dress nobody guessed to a skyline turned blue. From a brother as her man of honor to a rainbow over Manhattan. She tried to keep every detail behind closed doors. And somehow, the story got out anyway, one leaked glimpse at a time, exactly like one of her own songs. That was never really a wedding you were locked out of. It was a wedding you were meant to keep chasing. If you made it this far, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories behind the biggest names in the world. New ones every week. And tell me in the comments, which detail got you the most? Adam Sandler officiating, Paul McCartney performing, or that Empire State Building turning blue? See you in the next one.